What is going on, guys? Welcome back to another video. I'm very excited about this video because we have a fantastic guest with us today. Today we have Vineet Budki. Vineet Budki is a very well-known, successful VC in the Web3 space. He actually just announced his $100 million VC fund just last week. It was all over CoinDesk, Entrepreneur Magazine, Cointelegraph, you name it. And he is going to be spilling a ton load of alpha on us today. But he's also going to be sharing about where to place our chips in this bull market, what to look for in teams when you're thinking about investing, what are the leading narratives, and so much more. So Vineet has actually invested in over 300 investments via Cypher Capital. They include some very well-known projects such as Sui, Say, Manta, Mochaverse, and tons more. Join me today, enjoy the video with me and Vineet, and we get right at it talking about all the alpha that you guys could possibly want. So enjoy the video and I'll see you next time.
The market has to cool off someday, and cool off means a complete reset. Someone gave me a $10 million to build the first one, which people don't know about it.
You got Sandeep from Polygon also contributing a quote in the Entrepreneur article as well, so it's pretty heavyweight.
Millionaire building opportunities always come in bear markets. And gaming for me is really big as well.
So I think one of the biggest outperformers over the last couple of months has been
Yes, there's amazing craziness in the next 1 year.
In the next bull run, what is going to be the major narratives?
Everyone knows that we are one of the biggest holders of in the region. So NFTs will definitely have a cycle. Would AI build that relationship? Unfortunately.
What is your most controversial take right now in the market?
Everyone's being a Warren Buffett. Everyone will get killed. 2 years later, everyone would be burnt.
Welcome to the show, my good friend Vineet Budki, who's just announced the $100 million fund, his Web3 early stage venture capital fund, Sigma Capital, which is hot off the press. It's just hit all of the leading publications. I've just seen it on CoinDesk, the blog, Entrepreneur, and I believe it's also getting circulated in other publications as well. And the first channel he's decided to have interview is on Aaron K Official. So good choice, Vineet. How are you doing, sir?
I'm doing good, Aaron. Thanks for inviting me for the chat, and great to always chat with you.
Yeah, 100%. Well, look, congratulations on the fund. I mean, I know this is a big step for you. Obviously, Vineet, you're a well-known guy in the scene. You've been on the circuit for a long time, speaking at conferences globally, well recognized, especially as a figurehead globally, but almost certainly in the Middle East. I think you've done a huge amount of work with your role at Cypher Capital, but maybe you can talk about that. So let's get into it. Vineet, for those that haven't come across you before, maybe you could just give us a short update on like who you are and like your past experience with Cypher and what Sigma Capital is all about.
So, I've been in this space for 4 years now. Everyone says we've been in the crypto space for years and years. For me, interestingly, it's just been 4 years. I used to be a startup entrepreneur before that, done 3 startups before that, in that time. Started, randomly invested in crypto in August 2020, which was a $5,000 that I invested in. It went on to 100K in 2 months, and someone gave me a $10 million to build the first one. So that was the first one, which people don't know about. It was known as Phoenix VC. And, the same guy 2 years back when the bear market hit, gave me $100 million to manage, and that was how Cypher Capital was born. We, set it up in, I think, January, February. People know about the crazy party that we had. And then, the whole team was built by me. We hired a guy out of Binance as well. And last 2 years have been crazy. We did close to 130, 140 investments. The fund has done really exceptionally well. Everyone knows that we are one of the biggest holders of Sui in the region. I think our price is somewhere upwards of $100 million. And things have been good. And finally, a month and a half back, I decided that it's time to move away from a single LPGP structure, more like a family office structure, to build a more regulated LPGP fund. And that's where Sigma Capital came into space. And the whole thought is of building a really global VC fund and not limited to the geography of Dubai or Middle East as such. And that's how Sigma was born. Sigma, the new alpha. As I said, Sigma is the new alpha.
So what's the core differences then between Cypher Capital and this new fund, Sigma Capital?
So one of the key differences is that Cypher was a single LP fund. It was a single person's money. And now it's going to be multiple investors who would be putting in money. These would be multiple VC funds, Web3 funds and VC funds, multiple individuals, and it would be regulated. The thing is about having a track record of investing. What happens when you do something like this, which is very regulated and very audited, you can scale it up quite well. In a single LP fund, suppose, we made it into, I think the fund currently is what, the last fund is what, $250, $300 million. So when I try to make a new fund, it would be in that range. The main LP is not going to sell his assets and give you $1 billion. But when you have a regulated multi-investor fund, you can scale it up. Probably the next fund will be $1 billion or a couple of $1 billion if I get the same performance as I've shown in the last 2 funds. So that's the difference. One is the structure, one is the accountability, one is other than that, investment more or less remains same. Becomes a 50% venture investment, 40% liquid investments, and 10% fund of fund investments. More global in scale, more bigger people on board. We are pulling up teams from multiple known VCs. Dhaval from New Tribe would be joining on board. Vikash is joining in from Blue Whale. Amit is joining from Almasa. There are some more people who are coming from serious places on board as well. So it's becoming much bigger scale, much bigger vision, and that's the whole play.
Yeah, I saw also you got you got Sandeep from Polygon also contributing a quote in the Entrepreneur article as well. So it's pretty heavyweight.
So I actually reached out to last 4 years we've been meeting a lot of people who are now like family. It's all about relationships that are built, and I sent out a message to a few people to just get some quotes on me, as I've been investing in 4 years. So Sandeep was gracious enough to give a comment. Danilo from Morningstar also came in, and Shreyansh from Polygon Ventures also pitched in with a comment. So I really appreciate. I've made a lot of friends in this industry. I'm thankful to that. You are one of them as well.
I was going to say, I'm still waiting for my invitation. I'll send you the quote after this. All right, look, let's get into it. So look, right now, it's not every day that people that view my channel get to basically hear the alpha and hear your insights, somebody like you that has your rich experience. So I'd love to kind of get into it. Still right now, people deploying capital, retail, like wondering where they should park their money. What are the kind of, trends that we should be looking at in 2025 going forwards? So, obviously right now we spoke a lot about this on the channel about DeFi. So the intersection of decentralized finance and AI, some people calling it AI-fi, some people calling it DeFi, some people are calling it, all sorts. It's still trying to find its name. But what about you? What are the interesting, subsections of the industry right now that you think are going to do really well over the next, 6 to 12 months?
So, when you look at a different cycle, different parts of a cycle, you invest accordingly. When you look at last 2 years, we were investing more on infrastructure because before the new age of dApps would come on board, you really needed a layer one that could scale up and have transactions. And that's where we invested in things like Sui, Tron was invested, Sei was invested, Berachain was invested. But now when we come into the bull run, sort of, which everyone calls the bull run, I think a lot of consumers need to come on board. And how would consumers come on board would be through things which are known as consumer apps or dApps. So in that section, I would say that something like lending, borrowing is important, which you call DeFi. Something like real world assets is important. I have a house, I want to get a loan on it. What do? Take it on the blockchain, generate liquidity on it. This can be done on houses, real estate. This can be done on treasury. This can be done on stocks. So RWA is key. Identity is becoming very big. I just read that one of my portfolio companies has, I think, raised at a crazy $1.2 billion valuation from a leading VC globally. It's Humanity Protocol. So things that will rope in users is important. Gaming for me is really, really big as well. I'm an investor in Off the Grid or Gunzilla. I'm an investor in Revolving Studios. So thing is, anything that pulls in consumers will be good. And what retail also has to understand is depending on the amount of time that they spend on researching. Researching doesn't mean going through Twitter feeds, but researching means going through what a company is trying to do. They should decide what they should invest in. And, though everyone, if you get lucky and do 100x, great, but you should look at realistic returns and invest smartly.
Okay, so you mentioned a number of different subsections just then, including real world assets. I know that obviously you live in Dubai, and I think we saw Mantra. They just announced that $1 billion deal with Damak, which is pretty huge. So it's great to see the UAE getting in there and Mantra also capitalizing on that. But from your standpoint, you mentioned gaming. I think gaming kind of, it's not like the biggest narrative right now. It's kind of cooled off. We saw Gunzilla do really well in terms of like the video game that came out. Everyone was talking about it. But do you see there to be an intersection of AI and gaming? Have you seen some projects come to your desk that's seen those two intersections? And what are you seeing for the future of Web3 gaming?
So I did see a lot of things where AI agents were being built for gaming. So I had this game company which met me in GDC a year or 2 years back, where you would train your character to play the game for you. Is it a good one? Yes, it's a good one. People say that you would have trained your character and it would have evolved by the time you come again, and then you have a better player to play with. But for me, I think gaming is all about. For me, I would play a game because I have the joystick in my hand and I play the game. I don't want to sit in front of a computer and someone else is playing the game. So I have my reservations on that part of the AI agent. But there are different AI agents which do a lot of other stuff. ChatGPT has made it has given value to AI. It's just not a random word. I go to AI and try ChatGPT and try to build a lot of content. So I think AE is critical in a lot of places where you need decision making, where you need ease of processes. But in gaming, I'm not fully sure whether it has value because I want to play the game. I don't want an AI agent to play the game for me. Yes, it may help me win the game, but I don't play a game just to win. I play a game because I want to spend time and enjoy life. So.
Yeah, so I think that's interesting because obviously if we have all these decentralized agents and these AI agents that are playing 24/7 autonomously, they can be making you money right while you sleep, which I think could potentially bring back a play to earn era. Obviously we saw Axie and the huge rise that they had. That was in a bear market. Now, if we have these AI agents that we can deploy to earn tokens for us, would that make you play the game?
So personally, this is one of the concerns that I have with the crypto narrative sometimes. I play a game because I enjoy a game. I don't play a game because I make money from that. Anything that makes you money is a speculative asset. I know people made money on Axie Infinity. People made money. I had Sidus Heroes at 300x. I had Star Atlas at 600x. But a true game is one which people play the game. They don't come there to make money. So personally, I have reservations against things like that. Yes, it will make you money. If you're getting in speculators, then that's a great story. I remember one of the partners of Engine Starter had long time back in the bear market said that one of the biggest learnings from this cycle is they launched a lot of games which did crazy access, that we have a lot of speculators on our platform and not a lot of gamers. So I would still say let's build great games and not build great speculative instruments.
Well, look, I think, yeah, I agree with you, but everyone is trying to lock in their gains, right, between now and the end of the bull run. I mean, let me ask you an honest question. Forget about your portfolio, forget about what you've invested in before, forget about the friendships you have in the space. Let's say, you're back to Vineet before Cypher Capital. I won't spoil it doing the job that you had, but let's say you had 20 grand in your bank and you wanted to get the best return now going into the market. What projects would you look at?
So if I had 20 grand with zero knowledge, it's
no, with your knowledge right now.
With my knowledge, I would put it up in one of those top 50 tokens. Something like a Ton, something like a Sui, something like of course Bitcoin and Ethereum should constitute my portfolio, because it's not about making 100x's. It is about making multiples while securing your capital. I can put this 20k in a meme coin which will go 200x, but there's a chance that it will become zero. So I always talk about risk management for anyone who is investing. Once you put in 20k and you have gone to 60k, go gamble with 20k from there after removing your principal. Do not gamble with your 20k. That will see to it that you will end up on the losing side of the situation. So first, build up on that wealth, build a base of it, understand more, and then go speculative.
Okay. So I remember we had a phone call a couple of weeks ago. We're talking about the market cycle length, and we're talking about when we think this bull market might end, or how long do we have left. Obviously, I think the cycle started early, right, because of the ETFs. Like, we got an all-time high before the halving, which I don't think's ever happened before. So maybe you can give us your insight as to how long do we have left for this epic bull run.
So for me, I had posted sometimes, randomly I do forecasting. This is not my core business, but I had posted in August of 2022 on the prices that I expected. And I had posted on Twitter on August, September, October, November, and December. Most of the prices were hit. And at that time, when I projected a 16K for Bitcoin in December, I had also said that, we are looking at a 300% growth post-halving, which was clearly 150 to 200K Bitcoin. And I have bets on Twitter as well on that number. So for me, I think those numbers will be achieved, 150 to 200K BTC. Now at 100,000, everyone is a superstar and says, I know it's going to 200. But at 16K, no one had the courage to say that BTC is going anywhere. But the concern here is not about the all-time high. You invested in a project that has a 1-year vesting, BTC hits 200K in March, your tokens are locked, have no value. So point is, it is how long the cycle will last. For me, I assume it will be quarter 2 end to quarter 4 end. It will depend on a lot of parameters like interest rate cuts. There are 2 which are coming. Trump is joining the governments, things like that. But I would not speculate. What I would say is I would manage my risk. I would keep an eye on Bitcoin prices. If it tomorrow morning lands up at 150K, I would start taking things off the table as well.
You think AI agents is a fad?
The market has to cool off someday, and cool off means a complete reset.
You mentioned that potentially a big global macro downturn coming. So I think one of the biggest outperformers over the last couple of months has been Virtual's protocol.
Yes, millionaire building opportunities always come in bear markets.
In the next bull run, what is going to be the major narratives? Okay, so are you still actively deploying for this bull market, or are you investing now for the next one?
So I'm actively deploying for bull market on certain key projects. If you have a pump fund coming to you, definitely you're going to invest in it. But I think they're spacing up as well. Deploying the whole $100 million in the next 1 year is as foolish as it can be. You normally have a 3-year horizon. So yes, I would be deploying, but I would pace it up as well. Have the ideal mix of. I'm not a guy who would buy a WorldCoin token at $100 billion valuation. Unfortunately, I understand this market too heavily, and I would pace it up.
So I think there's been a lot of talk about this cycle about launches, and obviously you invest in so many projects. I'm sure you've got a very keen eye with your unlocks on launches. So what do you think has been the best approach? I think we've seen all this the FUD about like low FTV, high floats, and then also about high FTV, low float, or the wrong way around. And then now we've also seen 100% unlock. Let's get everyone out. What's your analysis on like the best like projects, tokenomics to invest in that you've seen has delivered like nice green chart and a decent launch?
I think unlocks are definitely required. There's this whole FUD around VC tokens. Unfortunately, retail doesn't understand that if there's no VC, then there is no token, because they need capital to run, and retail is not going to go out on the road and give entrepreneur any money. So VC tokens are critical. When they talk about these tokens, which are, meme coins have been big, for example. They have been saying meme coins come with a fair launch. Unfortunately, retail has to understand that there is no fair launch in the world. There are people, even in meme coins, there is a considerable amount of Sorry?
The cabal.
Yeah, the cabal. So basically, it's not the cabal. You have to understand the logic of it. What will a retail guy do when he gets a token at a valuation of 100 and it goes to 1,000? He's going to sell. It is common sense. Like anyone who makes 2-3x in 10 days is going to sell. So in this case, you need people who are strong hands. These strong hands were VCs earlier, and these strong hands are the cabal right now because they want to build up the buy and sell pressures. So point is, VCs investing into projects high. As long as you can manage the buy and sell pressures on the short term. This is on a short term. On a long term, you have to build a company that has a real use case of these tokens. Because in the end, if your token is not going to do, I have this coin 2 terms, which is the need and the want case. You need water and you need food to survive. If you don't get, you die. Similarly, you need Ethereum because every transaction on Ethereum, you need to use Ethereum for that transaction. And even Binance coin, if you have $1 million on Binance coin, you in the Binance launchpad can end up making $10 million. So this is a need-based coin. Then there's a want coin. Want coin means I have an e-commerce platform. So want is like buying a Ferrari. You want a Ferrari. Ferrari doesn't come, you don't die. Similarly, a want coin is something like an e-commerce platform which gives you a 20% discount if you hold this token. You really don't need it. You can go to Amazon.com and just get that discount. So founders need to understand that they have to build a need for their token for a reason why people should hold on to that. A VC should feel FOMO into the fact that I should not sell his token because he can become an Ethereum tomorrow. So that's what's the most critical thing. Just focusing only on pure play market caps and buy sell pressures is actually very risky.
So I think one of the biggest outperformers over the last couple of months has been Virtual's protocol.
Yes.
And Virtual's protocol, obviously you can create your own AI agents and it has the whole infrastructure, how to launch them with no code, which I think is really cool. But every token obviously has to be paired with Virtual. So the flywheel of the tokenomics does sound pretty good. But you mentioned earlier to me just before we started recording that you think AI agents is a fad. So,
I'm saying, until I don't see, I'm not saying it's a fad. I'm saying how many AI agents have you personally used till now?
I've spoke to them on Twitter.
No. Have you used? See, I have used Aave and I have used Compound and I have used DAI. I have used USDT. I have used Bitcoin to lend borrow. How many AI agents have you used to do something in your life in the last 1 month?
Yeah, that's true, but they're still being figured out at the moment, right? It's very nascent. It's very nascent.
So what I'm understanding is this is the Warren Buffett thing. You buy stuff that adds value and that actually uses. He has this strategy that I go and find out whether you really need it. Now, point is, I'm not saying it's a fad. I'm saying maybe people will find out solutions where it becomes interesting for me to use this token and hold on to this token. But till now, whenever anyone comes to me and says, I bought this AI agent, and I was, Virtuals was actually known as some other token before I had invested in that as well. I forgot the name. But what happens is, how many of them have been using them? If you meet 10 people and they said we haven't used it, we just bought the token. Unfortunately, it's speculation.
I hear what you're saying. However, this whole AI abstraction layer, on top of DeFi. I mean, you manage a lot of funds. I'm sure you've got a lot of USDT, Bitcoin, etc. flying around. You would surely want to use potentially a DeFi agent that can help you optimize your yield consistently while you sleep. You don't.
Absolutely.
That would be a great use case.
Yeah, so I would definitely evaluate those things. And when I see the use cases coming, I think last cycle we had a couple of projects which were using DeFi pools to move around capital and gain yield. Is it a new version of that? Again, I don't know. But what I'm trying to say is, yes, there are options where you can end up having use cases. And I'm not saying no to it. I'm just saying I haven't seen people using anything till now.
Okay. Well, maybe I can send a few projects your way after we're done. I'm sure you're going to be interested in it. Okay, cool. Look, let's talk more about Sigma Capital, because obviously that's the big announcement today. I mean, as I understand it, you're going to have a liquid fund and an early stage fund at the same time. So, but with the whole macro outlook, I know we haven't touched on that yet. Let's dig into the macro outlook, because you mentioned that on the phone to me a couple of weeks ago that you see potentially a big global macro basically downturn coming. And firstly, does that affect your investment thesis at all? And maybe you could explain a little bit more about that, like to our viewers.
So, I'll try to be as nice as possible. I don't want to scare people away, but when you talk about it, see, thing is, when you look at a project that gets launched at a $90-100 billion valuation, look at real world use cases. How much of those $100 billion valuations exist in the real world? And you see that there are none. So one part is that overvaluations someday need to come back to ground. Second is, when you look at the overall global economic situation where inflation has been going up like crazy, it was taken down. But if you see in Zillow's report for US home prices, they're up 3%. When you look at UAE, house rents have gone up by bloody 70% in places. So what happens is the market has to cool off someday, and cool off means a complete reset. Do I expect a market reset in 1.5-2 years? Yes, maybe that will happen, and that becomes a great buy opportunity as well. I'm not saying that there's no craziness in the next 1 year. There's amazing craziness in the next 1 year, which will give wealth building opportunities, but millionaire building opportunities always come in bear markets. And what I'm trying to tell people is, today you invested in a token that did a 50x, great. take some of those gains off the table and put a 25% reserve on the side. So whenever the market comes back, you go back in the market. Crypto definitely is the future. $1 million Bitcoin by Cathie Woods and Michael Saylor is not an improbable dream. It will happen. It's just that when it comes down, do you have capital in your pocket to buy? Because when it goes to $16,000, first of all, everyone runs away and thinks that Bitcoin is going to zero. And second, the other 50% have zero capital in their pocket, zero liquidity. So it's all about risk management.
I see. Yeah, I see what you're saying. I think, yeah, the main thing, something that I didn't do in the last bull run, is take as much money off the table for the bear markets, reinvest it in the bear market, and off you go. It's Valhalla time.
Let me, let's put a thing for the viewers as well. In the comment section, always you can post how many of you bought Bitcoin at 16,000, and you can put your trades over there. And can you show me you are holding that Bitcoin right now? Let's put it on the comments. Trust me, less than 2% would have bought it, because everyone at that time was saying it's going to 8,000, it's going to zero, it's going to 1. So at one point was they didn't believe, which is foolish, because in the last 4 years we've seen how this has changed. And second, they didn't have liquidity. All of them had bought Bitcoin at 60,000, and they couldn't. They were stuck.
That's the problem. The bear markets are so difficult. They're so hard that even if you think, oh, it's okay, you've got Bitcoin, you can hold it for another 4 years, sometimes you need the money for real life stuff. And so people don't realize that. And the 2 years into the bear, or 1.5 years into the bear market, they have to sell it because they need to pay a bill. And then suddenly 2 months later, we're back in the bull run. And yeah, it's difficult. So taking money off the table, having that ready for in the bear market, ready to deploy, and not to deploy too early, because obviously you'll catch a, what do they call it, like a catching knife. So yeah, okay, cool. All right. So what are you betting on? Like you mentioned that consumer apps is something that you're really interested in, which is interesting, because there's still layer ones still come into market all the time. It's kind of, since you got into, I think did you say Ton as well, or just Sui?
Ton was one of our investments. We had done an investment much before Pantera deployed the big amount. So
of course,
we invested much before, yeah.
So obviously consumer apps could be completely wide. Like it could be virtually anything. I'm sure you get presentations at your desk every 5 minutes about different things to look at, and I'm sure your researchers look at them, but is there any specific consumer app areas that you see as ripe for Web3 adoption?
So as I mentioned earlier, these are the consumer apps that we were already talking about: the gaming apps, the RW apps, the identity apps that are coming on. For DeFi definitely is one of them. Stable coins is another big play that's coming up. But again, one has to also understand that when I go to the toilet in the morning, I got thousands of ideas, bro. That's not how it's all about. It's about, does the founder have the capability to build something great? When you look at imagine this case scenario. There's a guy known as Zuckerberg who hires a guy. First of all, Zuckerberg doesn't hire everyone. He hires very critical people. He hires a guy to head his engineering. Now, this guy is a superstar in Facebook, builds up the crypto division, and finally comes out and builds Miston Labs or Sui. Now, imagine the capability of this founder. And now he's saying, I'm building Sui. And in a bear market, he ends up raising $300 million and was oversubscribed to $450 million. Now you have a project where you have a superstar who's known superstar who has delivered in the past, raised $300 million and is oversubscribed $450 million and building Sui. This is what you should be investing in. And I'm not saying about the scale of this thing. A guy who's building up a game has built 10 games in the past and has seen that he has games which have 1 million downloads. Wow, go out and invest in it. It's not about the segment, because ideas are, founders always pivot their ideas. They find out the best solution. When I was a founder, I built a startup that was an audio guide. I figured out nobody pays $1.99 for an audio guide. I shifted to a meta search model where, we were sending clients to get your guides of the world. No one paid. We went to consumer app. We would sell tours and activities to people. Nothing happened. And we ended up becoming a tour and activity provider for travel agents. Landed up at $500,000 million of monthly revenue. This is if the founder is focused and knows what he's doing. If a founder, oh, this didn't work, let's go run away. So it's not about segments. It's not about dApps. It's about founders and the key things that will get users on board.
So I think as a VC, you're in a very luxury position to see what's going to come 12 months, 24 months, even 36 months, especially with the unlocks, lasting that long. So in the next bull run, what do you see as like, what is going to be the major narratives? So we're talking like what, 2027, 2028?
Yeah. So I've always classified as market movements. Like the 2007 cycle was, people were raising any money for anything. There was no use case. Fucking someone was planting a tree in Africa and raising capital.
2007, yeah? 2017, right?
Yeah. No, 2017, yeah. So then in 2021, people came up with use cases. You had Aave, Compound coming up with use cases that we can lend and borrow, and then they were raising. I think this cycle is all about building adoption. Those Aaves and Compounds will get users on board, TVL will increase and things like that. But next cycle would be more about 10% of the world's population getting on the massive adoption part, the massive industry. It's, when we say that this time institutionals are coming, institutionals coming to build ETF is not use case. Institutionals coming to market is actually using blockchain to do something in their life. So I think the next cycle is about bigger adoption, maybe a bit of regulations will come on board as well. Again, 2 years back, if you see my interviews, people were saying, oh, regulation is coming 6 months later. No, unfortunately, the massive regulations have not yet come. So, it would be about global adoption, global uses, not speculation, but uses from institutions, a bit of regulations, not full-fledged regulations. That's how I see the next cycle as. Would AI build that relationship? Unfortunately, founders actually maintain control or liquidity. Anyone who launches a token in Burj Khalifa is definitely a scam. So NFTs will definitely have a cycle. It is in the end the dev who counts. The dev should not be the drug pullers.
And what NFT represents to you? What is your most controversial take right now in the market?
Everyone's being a Warren Buffett. Everyone will get killed. 2 years later, everyone would be burnt. So unfortunately, these people don't deserve to make money here because they don't understand what they're investing in.
So let's talk about meme coins. Meme coins have done amazingly well. I believe they've pretty much they have outperformed every other sector in crypto this bull run. And people position that as like an anti-VC play, right? They see that as a 2 fingers up to the VC. This is a retail-driven, sector of the industry. Fair launches, yada yada. Like, what has been your take in the meme coin run? Did that catch you guys as a VCs unaware? And did you expect to see that? And how do you expect to see meme coins performing? Because they're kind of cooled down. Not everyone's talking about AI. I mean, they're still doing well, but do you think this is going to peter out, or do you think this is going to keep going, well into the next cycle as well?
Personally, I don't think it caught me unexpected, because this is exactly what happened last cycle. And if you see my comments from even 2 years back, I always say meme coins come at the start of the cycle and at the end of the cycle. Start of the cycle, meme coins are needed to bring inspiration for people. Suddenly this kid reads on a newspaper that this guy made $10 million by investing in this XYZ meme coin. He gets inspired to come to crypto. Only 2 ways to inspire people to come to crypto. One is Bitcoin crossing all-time high. Monify had quoted me in September where I said 100K is the barrier where people will come running. So they always come at the start of the cycle, and they always come at the end of the cycle. End of the cycle, they come to drain out liquidity from the markets. So it's nothing new. But what is interesting is looking at the scale at which meme coins have gone, the amount of money that has been put in, the alt cycle will be crazy. A guy making probably $1,000 income in India, Bangladesh, somewhere, Argentina, invests in a meme coin, which gives him a 3x. He's going to sell. This is his 3-month salary. So point is, there's no concept of diamond hands over there. So what happens is founders actually maintain control or liquidity, which is similar to how VCs hold control, because they have made money. They don't have any urgency to sell. So that anti-VC narrative is unfortunately a foolish narrative. Supply is controlled everywhere in the world. The reason is because you don't want a kid to have $1 billion in his hand and push the sell button immediately.
And we've seen. I know that you're a Bored Ape holder and various other NFTs. I think across different ecosystems. We've seen. I think Pudgy leading the charge, right, with Pengu drop. I think the floor is like 25 ETH. I think right now for Pudgy, and so we're seeing somewhat of a comeback or a resurgence from NFTs. Do you think that this is going to return like in 2021, which was just crazy NFT cycle, or is this something that's going to just keep bubbling away and just have its own ecosystem? Or do you think it's going to take significant mindshare away from AI and meme coins?
So NFTs will definitely have a cycle as long as we understand what NFTs do. You come from London, UK. In London, you have a lot of clubs where you have to pay $100,000 to just get a membership to. So NFTs don't have to be looked at just an art form or just some crazy. It has to be looked as a membership form. Basically, when you buy a CryptoPunk, you are buying membership to a club where everyone who has bought that has $150,000 to spend on an image. They have these great get-togethers where people meet. There's this, they have these people, the high-end people like sports people, art people who buy them. So you're basically getting access to meeting them. How many of you can end up meeting people? You have a CryptoPunk NFT, you go to his get-together. So NFTs have to be firstly looked as a way to get into a community. Secondly, it has to be looked at, when you look at Pudgy Penguins, so the guy's evolving the idea. He's gotten into toys, he's gotten into things. So there is definite use case to it. Again, it's just like coins. There are 10,000 coins which launch, only 50 come to the top 50, right? So some of these NFTs will really go crazy. During the bear market, I had invested in Node Monkeys. Node Monkeys, I had bought it at 0.06 BTC, and it went to some 70, 80, 1 BTC or something like that. I had bought multiples of them. Then I do had some bad ones as well. But again, NFTs are definitely going to be there. You just need to choose the right ones, which have a right roadmap and what they do. And voila, it's good art to be. And you should choose an NFT which represents you.
And what NFT represents you?
So I have the crazy ones, which show that I have I had the Bored Ape, one of the Bored Apes, which was more tech focused and stuff like that. The punk was quite good. Again, now I'm shifting them. So basically, it was one of the cool ones. So it has to represent a cool parameter to it. And something you also have to understand from NFTs, this is people need to really, really understand is, when you sell a token, there's no emotional connect with the token. Yeah, I sold XY, I sold Mantra DAO, yeah, one of the tokens. But when you sell your NFT, which you have put a lot of time to buy because it reflects you, your heart always sinks because you want to buy it back. So NFTs have this advantage. That I sold when I remember I had bought DGods for $2,000-3,000 when Solana had crashed to $9. I had bought crazy amounts of them. When the gods went to $25,000 when they were shifting to ETH, I sold a lot of them. And then I bought them back on. I have the Solana chain NFTs with me. So, it's about you getting engaged to your art.
So, okay, let's talk about Dubai and UAE in general, because you've always been associated with the UAE because of your work at Cypher Capital. When I think of Vineet, I have thought of Cypher. I'm now going to start thinking of Sigma, of course, but also the UAE in general. You're a major player here. And I think a lot of people are still curious, the ones that haven't moved here yet, about the Dubai ecosystem. Lots of people say, is it full of scammers? I think that's an old take. I personally moved here a year ago, so obviously I'm not going to say that, but I think the quality of people that have moved here has been advancing. And I think with Token 2049, it's definitely helps improve the image and bring some quality people here. And Satoshi Roundtable, right, it's happening in January. I think you're attending. So, but anyway, give me your take on the Dubai UAE, like Web3 ecosystem.
So Dubai has been open to Web3 quite a lot. After COVID, Singapore sort of shut down. I learned my crypto in Singapore 4 years back, 5-6 years back actually, before COVID, and Dubai opened up. So there was an influx of a lot of people, and there were good people and there were bad people. In fact, there was a time when there was this saying that anyone who launches a token in Burj Khalifa is definitely a scam, because there were scams coming out of there. But I think as we have been progressing, we have been meeting a lot of right people. The government has been putting a lot of effort. When you look at Dr. Marwan building up Dubai Blockchain Center, or when you talk about the Abu Dhabi Blockchain Center coming up, when you talk about Syed from Alphabet and Shisha Finance building up. So there's actually a lot of focus on getting right people in here. Even DMCC has a big crypto center. Russell Kimarak DAO has come up. So yes, they're inviting people. There are a good number of people who come. Maybe out of 100, 90 people are scammers, maybe. But that's what the evolution is all about. Evolution is finding the right set of people and going to the right set of places. When you say about Satoshi Roundtable, how many people know about an event like that? Tonight I fly out to CFC St. Moritz, then I go to Davos, go to Satoshi Roundtable, end up in FII. So it's all about experimenting and finding the right set of people. It's just like experimenting with a lot of girlfriends and getting married to the right person later on. So you have to experiment with it. You are very lucky if you find the right person at the work.
Yeah, I think you know a lot about that. But what about your first investments for Sigma Capital? For Sigma Fund. When will we start hearing about what you guys are deploying into?
Mostly you will hear about us investing. Randomly I keep on investing on a personal level every time. I never stop investing. But real active investments you should see by Q2 and onwards, the big size tickets ones. But like one of the fun investments that I am personally looking forward to is, say, a pump.fund. If it comes, I'll invest tomorrow morning. What's there to wait about? Even if it has a 2-year lockup, hardly care. This is a product which has $100 million of 6 months revenue and stuff like that. So those are evergreen ones. But if you're talking about mass deployments, like we did 140 investments in the last 2 years, I think we'll have to you'll see it post Q2.
Specifically for your liquid fund, there's been a pretty interesting trend right now. I think it's on DAO's fund, where there's like investment DAOs being launched all the time, and they're being run by AI agents on chain. And it's funny because everyone talks about how AI is coming for your job. Do you feel that this trend is going to, take away some of the kind of tasks from the VC industry if the AI agents are deploying capital and consistently 24/7 looking at trends and data and, basically doing better than what a human could look at and crunch data for and deploy those funds? So
the AI agent does one critical thing that probably that is the biggest reason to fail in any investing, is that it keeps emotions to the side. When you are looking at data and you see that XYZ token has been working continuously, building commits on the net, doing a lot of partnerships and stuff like that, you understand that there's work happening. I remember long time back when we were having this discussion when Solana was at $9, someone in one of my groups said Solana is going to die. And I said, look at the number of active users, look at the number of wallets, look at the number of amount of TVL. Unfortunately, FTX can't kill Solana because it's that big. This was me taking a decision without emotions. While everyone's emotion was it fell down from 200 to 9 and it's going to 0. So when you get AI or when you get machines to do decision making for you, they cut out the emotions. That is an advantage. But what they can't get, and people have to understand that, can they get the interaction between me and the founder of Solana, for example? No, they cannot. When I look at a person, the thing about investing is knowing whether the founder is legit or not. And even as a region, we had this rule that I used to be a region long time back, that it is in the end the dev who counts. The dev should not be the drug puller. So when I look at a founder and I see that this guy has a vision to build something and is not here for the short term, I would invest. So AI can give me the emotional risk management, but in the end, I need to meet the founder and need to understand his capacity before investing. So my job's going nowhere. AI might give results, but trust me, I still sit at 6x on my venture portfolio. It's not easy to get 3 years of my experience via machines running on a computer.
Well, we hope so.
One more thing that one has to understand is this is a critical part. In crypto Web3, the biggest problem is not about finding projects, it's about the projects giving you an allocation. I remember this case where one of the projects had given me a 25K allocation and wasn't giving Cypher an allocation. Called the founder to the office, had a great discussion, and we got good allocations, both for me personally as well as for the fund. would AI build that relationship? Unfortunately not. And that's why you see me at 4 conferences every month. Founders, understanding people, and finding what's the great alpha. Until I don't know the founder, what will an AI do?
Yeah, I mean, that's a good point for pre-market investments, but for liquid investments, obviously they don't need an allocation. But I get your point. It's about building relationships, 100%. Looking the person in the eye, having a drink with them, whatever it takes.
Even in liquid investments, suppose I know Gavin Woods is doing a great job with Polkadot, and he offers me a 50% discount on Polkadot just because he knows me. And I know that they're working a lot and they're building up these partnerships which are going to get announced. I would invest. Would AI have those personal connects? Maybe not. Would Gavin would give an AI, not Gavin would, again, Polkadot, I should say. Would he give a 50% discount to an AI? Maybe not. So point is, yes, they have a value, but it's not the overall value.
Okay, Vineet. So what is your most controversial take right now in the market?
Everyone's being a Warren Buffett. Everyone will get killed. 2 years later, everyone would be burnt.
Oof, dagger to the heart.
So I don't know if you know this, but when BTC was at $60,000, I had a bet with someone that is going to $25,000, and people thought I'd lost my mind. The guy never paid up. It went to 25. At 25, I posted still that there's scope to go. People go emotion. Today everyone's saying Bitcoin's going to be $1 million tomorrow. No logic, no rhyme, no reason. Is BTC going to $1 million? Yes, it's going over there. I see the use case. But people are too emotional. And people who weren't buying at 16,000 are ready to deploy $10 million at 100,000. Everyone's being a smart Warren Buffett, which is foolish. You need to understand the markets. When I ask, people when they meet me and they say we want to invest in XYZ PQR, I ask them in Dubai, I ask them what does Uber Eats do? They say it's a food delivery service. And then when I ask them what does Ethereum do, they say, oh, it's a 20 billion, 50 billion, 20 trillion market cap, smart. No understanding of what it does. So unfortunately, these people don't deserve to make money here because they don't understand what they're investing in. I understand Uber Eats delivers food, and this is what I invest in. In Ethereum, no one even understands what the smart contract platform is. What does it add value to?
All right, Vineet, look, I'm wary of your time. I know you're a very busy man. So let's just wrap things up on Sigma. So, what is the kind of key takeaway for our listeners regarding Sigma? What is your, how do you see yourself, how are you positioning yourself completely in the market? And if somebody wanting to watch this wants to send you your team of researchers a potential project, how do they get in touch with you, etc.?
So they can reach out to us through the website, through the email, vineet@sigmavc.com. We are very clear what we invest in. The founder should have some potential. He should have done something in the world, some experience to build something. We want to build a rocket to go to Mars and never driven a cycle. Unfortunately, it doesn't work that way. There are 1 or 2 Zuckerbergs in the world who have not done and who are dropouts. But you understand those Zuckerbergs when you see them. So point is, reach out to us as long as you have some real backing to what you are talking about, and real go-to-market plan on how you will scale this up and build this up. And happy to invest. We are in the business of investments. I come from an industry where we expect to lose 95% of the time. So losing money is not a problem. Losing money on a foolish investment is a big problem.
All right. Well, look, Vineet, thank you so much for joining me, brother. It's been great to speak to you. Congratulations with your new fund. Like I said, just hot off the press. I'm sure we're going to be hearing more about it. So yes, good luck with everything, and I'll see you at an event soon.
Thanks a lot, bro. Thank you, and great talking to you, and look forward to meeting you next time.
Okay. Cheers, Vineet. Thank you.
Bye-bye.
Bye.